Australia is also heading into an election this Saturday. The opposition coalition has pledged to boost defense spending if it wins, as the Trump administration pushes allies to do so amid China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific. Roger Maynard reports from Canberra.
Every year, the sacrifice of more than 100,000 Australian defence personnel in 2 world wars and smaller conflicts is remembered across this vast nation. At the Australian War Memorial in Canberra, hundreds come to pay their respects on a daily basis, recalling the courage and spirit of their fellow countrymen and the need to protect freedoms for generations to come.
Your support.
In the United States, a new president is unsettling the world order, and China has been extending its presence in the South Pacific, carrying out live fire drills off the Australian coast. Some ex-military men believe Australia is looking at its biggest challenge in more than 8 decades.
What the government's talking about at the moment is that we're facing the most precarious geostrategic circumstances that we've seen since the Second World War. A lot going on. China is being aggressive, and we've had those recent events where they've had a vessel go through the Great Australian Bight, but they've also had some warships circumnavigating around Australia, so I think we need to be interested in that. We've also got internal issues in terms of the budget that's available for defence. By any measure, it's not enough.
That's clearly left the Navy vulnerable, but some argue that the perceived Chinese naval threat to Australia is not what it seems.
Well, I mean, it's clearly signalled China's annoyance about our naval ships being up near China's coastline, and so Beijing's just repaying the favour. But beyond that signalling, I don't think there was anything particularly threatening in the travel of these vessels itself. Of course, it signifies that China has a blue water navy, but frankly, that's not news. And the fact that we didn't have enough capability to closely shadow those Chinese naval vessels, well, frankly, that's Canberra's problem, not Beijing's problem.
The AUKUS nuclear submarine deal, put together by former Prime Minister Scott Morrison, has also been questioned. Since Canberra partnered with Britain and the United States, critics have felt that the massive cost and lengthy delivery time of AUKUS is not worth it. Peter Lay, however, believes it sends a strong message to China.
But I think as we see these autocratic forces, and let's not be coy about this is about China. And if we need to control China, AUKUS is there as part of that. But let's not forget about the Quad and independent roles of Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines and India. I think we're seeing an aggregation of forces in this region, the Indo-Pacific, that say, hey China, you can't be doing that sort of thing. We're keeping an eye on you, and we're going to curtail the sorts of adventurous activities that you're on about.
China has not dominated the Australian election campaign, except in connection with the possible knock-on effect of President Trump's tariffs.
There's a real sense at the moment, because of global trade chaos really being brought about from the White House, that this has implications both for the Chinese, but also if the Chinese economy is harmed by huge trade barriers, that this could in fact roll on to the Australian economy as well. In other words, the harm done to the Chinese economy could also threaten Australia's economy as well.
After this week's election, as Canberra grows accustomed to a new set of challenges triggered by changing dynamics in the White House, the political, economic and strategic consequences are not to be underestimated. Roger Maynard, CNA, Canberra.